Have you ever been so empathetic that you started making excuses for someone else's behavior? As someone who's empathetic, I neglect my own needs. That doesn't excuse their behavior. But this is what you did. This is how you acted with me. The importance of having both empathy and boundaries. You cannot abandon yourself either. I'm going to choose me at the end of the day. And it's one of the hardest things to do. What up? It's your girl Motivation with V, and this is Get Real with V, where we're gonna get real, we're gonna get raw, and we're gonna get down to the truth. And I am your host, Veronica Suazo. Welcome back, y'all. This is another solo episode, and today I want to talk about empathy. This has been a very big word for me this year. Um, it's part of my spiritual awakening. I'm a very empathetic person, a very compassionate person. And first, I want to say what empathy is. Empathy is being able to understand another person and what they're going through, being able to put yourself in their shoes. And I don't know where I learned this or how I learned it or why I'm able to really understand people on another level and understand that, sometimes people, most of the time, people operate from their childhood, from the trauma, from their wounds. And I've always been able to just be there for them and know that they're operating from a space from their past. But one thing I want to emphasize is the importance of having a balance of being empathetic, but also having boundaries. So, this is something that I'm learning now, the importance of having both empathy and boundaries. You can understand someone and know that they're operating from wounds, but also setting boundaries for yourself, setting boundaries in them, in knowing that although they're operating from this place, it's still not okay for the way that they treat you. And I'm connecting the dots for myself for my life and what I've gone through with friendships, relationships. And one thing I've always done is I've always understood their pain and understood that the reason why they hurt me or they acted a certain way towards me is it has nothing to do with me, right? And everything to do with them and what they've gone through. But I've never actually set a boundary where I was like, hey, you can't keep doing this. Like, yeah, I get it, right? You hurt me because you have these abandonment wounds, but you still did this to me. You still hurt me. And they need to be able to show up for you too and hold space for you and what you're feeling because your feelings are valid as fuck too. And all my empaths out there, you know what I'm talking about. We just understand people on another level and we care and we want to give people second chances, but you cannot abandon yourself either when it comes to empathy. So today's episode is about empathy without losing yourself. And I think this is very important because there's so many empaths out there. And I'm connecting the dots where I see a lot of relationships where there's always like the person that understands and is empathetic towards their partner. And then there's a partner that like isn't aware, isn't doing the work, and isn't holding space for this person that has empathy. And this aligns with my coaching program that I just put out, the 12-week I Choose Me, I'm Sorry program. And it goes in together because when I say I choose me, it's coming from a space of having those boundaries and saying, no matter what, I'm always going to choose me at the end of the day. I can still understand you, understand your pain, but if you're hurting me, I'm going to choose me at the end of the day. I love you. I got so much love for you, but I choose me at the end of the day. And it's one of the hardest things to do. It really, really is. Um, but yeah, so empathy without losing yourself. So I have a question for y'all. Have you ever been so empathetic that you started making excuses for someone else's behavior? Yes. I'll ask that again. Have you ever been so empathetic that you started making excuses for someone else's behavior? I am guilty of this. I will be the first to admit I do this a lot. I always overanalyze, always over explain, always make excuses for someone else's behavior towards me. And in turn, I neglect my own needs, what I need, my own feelings. And it didn't really hit me until recently how much I've been neglecting myself and not really choosing me in that aspect when it came to friendships, when it came to relationships. It's so important that as someone who is empathetic, when you are in a relationship with anyone, it could be your best friend, strangers, it could be at work, it could be your relationship. When you express a concern, when you bring something up, if that other person can't hold that space for you and hear you out and validate your experience and then turn it on you and make you feel bad for how you feel, that isn't healthy at all in friendships, relationships, and in business. It's important that even though you're someone who understands people, that you don't abandon yourself and that you stop allowing people to walk all over you. And I've had like friends in my past or friends from back in the days, they would always be like, Veto, you're too nice. You have a big heart. Like, you got to start being petty. And I'm not the type of person to be petty because I believe in karma and I'm just not like that. I don't operate like that. But I do get their perspective because there has to be a balance, right? Like you can still be nice, still have a big heart, but have boundaries. And if people cross them, then you got to let them know, hey, you're crossing a boundary right now, and I'm not okay with that. You got to be okay with cutting people off. You got to be okay with voicing yourself, letting them know how you feel, whether they take it well or not. And that's what I want to emphasize today is to those that are out there that are empathetic, compassionate, understanding, patient. And mostly that's women. That's us women. A lot of us operate this way. Well, most of us, not all of us. And I want to put the importance of, yes, continuing to have that empathy, but enforcing your boundaries because it is vital. And I want to talk a little bit about my experience um, of, this awakening I'm having, in the past. And I'm going to try to do without like putting too much details and putting people on blast because I want to respect other people. But this is my lived experience and what I've gone through. So, um, yeah, like in the past, I have had friendships that didn't go well. I've been in situationships where I've gotten fucked over. And one situationship that stands out to me right now as I'm speaking is this girl who I was dating who was made it clear from the beginning that she didn't want a relationship. She wasn't looking for one. And I kind of knew too because she had just gotten out of a relationship that I mean, realistically, when you get out of a relationship, you shouldn't be jumping into another one. Like, you need time to process. That's a given. And I understood it then, but I really liked her so much that I kind of like bypassed it. And also, she was giving me mixed signals because she was telling me all this, but then on the other side, she was showing me something completely different. She was coming around my family. She was having me come around her family, inviting me on trips, spending time with me every weekend. It was like we were in a relationship. And for you Gen Zs out there, uh, a situ a situationship is like what is it called? What do the Gen Zers call it? I don't know. But this is what we called it, situationship. When you were in a relationship, but it wasn't. It was really a situationship. And so I got myself into one of those. And she was showing me with that she wanted to be with me. Like she was inviting me to all these things that you would do in a relationship, but then telling me, "Hey, I don't want to be in a relationship. I'm reminding you that I don't want to." And so, as someone who's empathetic and like really likes someone, I'm like, well, but you're doing all this. You're hanging out with me, and you're showing me around your family, and so it confuses you, right? So it left me in this situationship where I stayed. But my whole point of this episode is, in this scenario, there was multiple times where we would be out doing something, and okay, I'll go into I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story. All right. Um, I remember we went out one weekend with her friends, and we were staying in Sacramento, and I had lost my phone. I left my phone in the bathroom at this bar, and somebody stole it. Right. So I was upset. I went back. It wasn't there. I couldn't find my phone. I was somewhere new, and I didn't, there was a lot going on during that time. And her friends at that time were comforting me, and they were like, "Don't worry about it. We're going to figure it out. Like we will find a way to get your phone back, or the next day we'll make sure that we go to AT&T and get a new phone, or whatever you got to do, but like don't worry about it tonight. Let's just have a good time. It's already happened." So I'm grateful to her friends that were there for me during this night. And she ended up getting pretty drunk, and she left that night to go see her sneaky link. She had another like sugar mama slash sneaky link. And she left me at her friend's house to go be with this person. And I was so upset. I'm like, why would you do, like, I get it. Like, we're not together. So if you're doing this when I'm not there, that's fine, right? Out of sight, out of mind. We're not together. But to do that in my face, like to go and call the other person and leave me in a place where I'm not familiar with friends I just met, was pretty fucked up. Like, it was so fucked up. And I remember being so upset that night. And even she had left. And then the next morning when I got up, I had no phone. I had no phone, had no way of talking to her, had no way of getting home. And thankfully, her friend was really sweet and helped me reach out to my mom and let her know I'm okay, because they were worried because I had lost my phone. And then he helped me go to AT&T and T and get me a phone. And well, actually, I couldn't even get a phone that day. I went to AT&T and I ordered the phone, but I couldn't get the phone. So I was worried because I had to drive from Sacramento all the way to San Francisco, or at the time, yeah, San Francisco. And back, and I didn't have a phone. So I didn't have no GPS, and I didn't know how to get onto the freeway. So he went out of his way to print out a map quest for me with instructions, old school way, on how to get back home from Sacramento to SFO, or to SF. Oh my God. Just thinking about this story is cracking me up. And the shit I put myself through when I was drinking. This is why I don't drink. This is like a good example. But yeah, so the point is, she had left me there. She's the one that brought me there and introduced me to her friends, and then she ended up leaving me that night. And so I was upset. I was so fucking mad. But I also understood that she had been drinking, right? She had already told me she didn't want a relationship. So I was like putting my feelings to the side a little bit. And by the time I got home and I ended up talking to her on the phone about it, I told her how I felt. And, she apologized. She understood. She was sober at this time. And, um, She felt bad. She felt bad for leaving and all that stuff. And here's the thing, like, as someone who's empathetic, we tend to understand so much that we let these things slide. And this was one of the times where I was like, I really like you. I really fucking do. And I know that alcohol isn't you. I know that this isn't you. But this is what you did. This is how you acted with me. It happened. You left me in a time where I was vulnerable. In a time where I didn't know anybody. I barely knew her friends. I didn't have a phone. That is fucked up. Like, a friend doesn't do that. These are things I was telling myself in my head. I'm like, Veronica, yes, you like her a lot. Yes, she's sorry. But a friend does not do that to you, period. I don't care if they're under the influence. I don't care if they got abandonment wounds, childhood wounds. It don't matter. At some point, we got to start telling ourselves, like, they still did this to you. And so that was a big turning point for me in that moment where I actually, I heard her out, but I fucking gave her a full ear. And I told her how I felt. I was like, that's fucked up. A friend doesn't do that. Um, and I stopped talking to her after that. I think it was after that. There were a couple of times where she kept doing similar things like that, but I think that was the last time I let that happen. And I was like, all right, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't even want to be your friend. Like, you're not even a friend at this point because a friend doesn't do that, period. And so, I'm sharing this experience with you so you see that, so you can connect the dots for yourself and start to really look at your friendships, your relationships, and see where you're getting the short end of the stick. You know, if a friend isn't being a friend, if your man isn't being a boyfriend, or your girlfriend isn't being a girlfriend, and what I mean by that is like really actively listening to your concerns, really validating you, really having empathy towards you, and wanting to hear you out. But not only that, like not treating you like shit. Okay. Because I feel like a lot of times in relationships, especially, there are a lot of mistakes that are going to happen. There's going to be conflict no matter what. But cuando lo pasas, I mean, when you pass the threshold, like when you pass those boundaries, that's too much. Like a person knows what buttons to push. Period. I have learned a lot from my past. And I can, say the old Vero when I was in high school, when I was in my 20s, the relationships I was in, I was toxic. There was a lot of things that I would do because I wasn't aware of, my trauma and things and what I saw and how that kind of made me and molded me into who I was in a relationship. But now, I'm in my right mind and I know what I'm doing. So I'm not gonna treat you like shit. If we're in a relationship or you're my friend, I'm not gonna treat you like shit because I value you, because I know what you bring to this friendship, to this relationship. I value you as a person in general. Why the hell would I treat you like shit? So when you have people in your life that are treating you like shit, that are literally taking advantage of you, know that. And especially if they're, in their 30s, 20s, older, like they know what they're doing. Um, and some of them, yeah, they may not know, right? If some of them may not know, may be unaware because they're not actively doing the inner work. But that doesn't excuse their behavior. And that's the whole point of this is knowing when to have empathy, but setting those boundaries once they start pushing you, once they start treating you like shit, once you start questioning yourself, your reality, that is when you really need to choose yourself and put yourself first. So this is one scenario with this girl that I was in a situationship where I had to put myself first. And I really liked her. So it was really hard for me to be like, I don't even want to be your friend because I still wanted to be your friend. I still wanted those benefits. But it's like, it's either that or I neglect myself. So, and thankfully at that time I had, my really good friend who was my roommate put a lot of sense into me and, kept telling me that this is not what a real friend does. Like, you got to be a little petty here. And so, that really helped me because I was already thinking that. And that's when I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And anytime I felt like I wanted to hit her up, I would write something down in my notes and I would just read it to myself. Because I kept telling myself, like, I don't deserve this. And back then, my self worth was a lot different. Like, I didn't have too much confidence in myself. And I put up with a lot of shit, a lot of things in my life because I didn't have enough self worth. But I know there's a lot of people out there, women that have similar journeys as me, where you're in a relationship and you're not getting your needs fulfilled. They're not being met. Your partner doesn't know how to really listen to you and validate your experience and have a conversation and repair. And those things are important. And if you're not receiving those things, you can empathize a lot. You can understand that they're not doing the inner work to be able to understand you. But at some point, you got to choose yourself and understand that this person might never wake up. This person might never give me what I'm actually looking for. This person still has a journey to go through. And you don't realize this, but you leaving that relationship, that friendship, you setting those boundaries is what might wake them up. You might be that awakening that they need to change. And I know that sucks to hear because sometimes us as women, we want to be the reason why someone changes. We want to be the reason why someone's light bulb goes off because it feels good. But sometimes, and this is the reality, sometimes you are the person that they have that awakening with, but they don't have that relationship with you. And that's okay because that person was never meant to be in your life. Well, they were in there for a reason. I truly believe when you're in a relationship with someone or you're a friend, you have a friendship with someone, they're in your life for a reason. Both of you are meant to learn something from each other. So ask yourself, like, what did I do wrong in this relationship? What did I allow? And focus on you and your growth. And hopefully that person will focus on theirs. But my whole point is, like, you know, having empathy is important, but never ever lose yourself. Always have boundaries, set boundaries, and let those boundaries be known from the beginning. Sometimes people will push as much as they can until they know how far they can push you. Um, and this goes into like my coaching program. I Choose Me. I'm sorry. Um, I want to help women really choose themselves in every aspect of their life, not just relationships, but with themselves. What I mean by I choose me is waking up and going to the gym because you know that's good for you. Waking up and eating healthier because you know that's good for you. Waking up and meditating because you know that that's going to ground you. It's going to set your day up. Waking up and saying no to that ex. Saying no to the things that do not serve you. That's what I mean by I Choose Me. It means choosing yourself every single day. And let me tell you something. It's hard. It's really fucking hard because choosing yourself comes with a lot of endings. It comes with a lot of goodbyes. And that's why a lot of us are scared to do it. And not only that, society has made it very, very hard on us and has made us feel guilty for choosing ourselves, that it's selfish. What's selfish is you not taking care of yourself, you not pouring into yourself, you not loving yourself first. Because I say this all the time and I'll say it again. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And I see women do it time and time again where they are pouring from an empty cup. And I applaud those women because it's not easy. Because when you pour from an empty cup, there's a lot inside of you that you're neglecting. You're pouring and pouring and pouring, and you're not gaining anything. You're left with nothing. That's not fair to you. You are the most important person. When you start taking care of yourself, I promise you, you'll be able to pour into other people. Um, but I do get it. Like there's so many factors into why sometimes it's hard to look out for ourselves. You know, when you have kids, when you're married, you know, you're always thinking about your children first, maybe your husband, your wife. Um, but I will say it over and over again. Do one thing at least a day, one thing for yourself. At least fill your cup up a little bit. You'll notice a difference. And I understand it's tough. I understand it's hard. But anyways, I don't want to sidetrack. Um yeah. So that's just one experience I had where you know, I was understanding and empathetic towards that person, but I knew that I had to I had to end the situationship slash friendship because it wasn't serving me. And, you know, up until this point in my life, I'm looking back and I'm like, damn, there have been a lot of friends, um, relationships where I haven't spoken up. Or when I did speak up, they always turned it back on me and made me feel bad for it. And now I'm like, I'm in that season where I'm taking my power back. It's a me season. It's a I choose me season. Because I'm at that point now in my life where I need people around me that are going to see me, that are going to empathize with me in the same way I offer it to other people. I'm always that go to person. People always hit me up when there's something's going on, when they need advice. And you know what? It's that time for me to finally get that shit reciprocated. Period, point blank. And I'm making this episode because I know there's a lot of women out there who are similar to me, who understand so deeply, but we still let people walk all over us. We still let people disrespect us. This is the time where we say, I choose me. I'm sorry. Having a balance of empathy and boundaries is vital. I want to leave you guys with actionable steps. So, when someone hurts you, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. You can write it down. Maybe I'll put it in the messaging here for you guys. But the first question is, can I understand why they did it? The second question is, can I acknowledge how it impacted me? The third question is, what boundary do I need now? And the fourth, am I staying because of love or because I'm hoping they'll become someone different? I invite you to ask these questions for yourself when you're in a similar situation, like I was, or you're in a different situation where someone's hurt you. Ask yourself these 4 questions and go from there. You know, I always say life is too short. Be happy. Choose yourself. Love yourself. You only have one life to live. You got to choose yourself in every lifetime. And if you need any guidance or help with, setting boundaries, I have some great news. I will be starting Had a Private Practice in July, and I will be taking on clients. So if you are looking for a therapist, I'm your girl. I'll be taking clients. Well, I don't think I'm going to start taking clients till August, but I am getting onboarded July 13. So I'm excited for that. I really can't wait to do this work. I really can't. So you can now either work with me as I could be your therapist or I can be your coach. I have two separate ways of working with me. You can either book with me one on one as your coach, or you can book me as your therapist. More details will come out soon as I get onboarded. But yeah, I'm excited to do this work. And, you know, I'm coming from a place of I've done the work. I've also been in your shoes and I've had to work through them. And it's not easy at all. And that's okay. Sometimes we just need a guide, someone to help us through our life, somebody help us as we navigate these challenges. And I hope to be that person for you. I hope that if, you align with me, my journey and my story, that, you choose me to work with you. But yeah, so empathy without losing yourself. So as we close down, ask yourself how you can start showing more empathy towards yourself, maybe your partner, but mostly yourself. And also, if you need to start setting boundaries, please start doing that. Look at how you can start showing up in empathy, but also have that balance. It's very, very key and important. Um, Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share with your friends, share it with somebody who needs to hear this message. I appreciate y'all. Have a good one.